Hey guys, what's up? Study here and welcome back to another excited visual effect tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to explain every single step to create this epic walking fire simulation inside Blender. So I will divide this tutorial into 4 parts. First part will be about the basics, how you can create the basic fire and smoke simulation. In the second part, we will see how we will track the footage. In the third part, we will create the actual effect which we are going to deliver in this tutorial. In the last part, we will see how we will render and composite that render inside After Effects. So this is the whole steps which I will explain. So I will highly suggest don't skip this video. In the whole process time, I will explain many simple tricks which will help you a lot to achieve more amazing results. So yeah, and you can also join our channel and be a member. So I share some of the great benefits, just like I share all of my BTS, just like what I am working on. Also I share my tutorials as a early access, so you can get it first before it available publicly. Sometimes I also share some projects files, so I will highly recommend to go and check it out. I will put the link in my video description. And for those who are really interested to learn visual effect more deeply, I also created a visual effect course called Modern Visual Effect, where I am sharing all the necessary and basic stuff to create the viral effect which we commonly seen on social media. So yeah, it will help you a lot to learn visual effect. I will highly recommend go there and check it. All the links will get inside my video description. Without any more delay, let's get started this amazing tutorial. So here we are inside Blender, and I'll press A and delete everything. Just before explaining the complex project, I want to explain the little basics. So I will just take few minutes and I will explain how quickly you can set up fire and smoke simulation. So I'll simply create a cube. I'll just make it down and I'll apply the scale, and then I'll go to the object and I will go to the quick effect, and here is the option called quick smoke. So now you can see we have a smoke inside this domain, and the big box which you can see on the screen is smoke domain, and it is just like a boundary. Let's suppose if you live in a room and all the doors are locked, you can't go outside of your room, so that way you can do anything. The smoke will only affect rise and do all kind of a movement inside this domain. So this is our boundary, and you can see this small cube is our emitter which is emitting the smoke. In this tutorial we will also change this to fires. It will emit fire and smoke both, and this little domain is our voxel size. So the smaller it will be, the more denser and the more good our simulation will be. Like if you want to change this voxel size, you will select this domain, and guys, if you select the domain and go to this physics properties, it will show you the settings related to this domain. If you select this emitter and go to the physics property, it will show you the parameters which we can change related to this emitter. Okay, so make sure which one you selected, the setting will change accordingly. So in this case I want to discussing how you can change this resolution. So because this play a lot big role, so here if I change this to the 100 resolution, so you can see the smoke is more precise and more closer to our emitter. And if you play, you can see it has, you can see it has more details over here, you can see. So yeah, this is the power of resolution. So for now I will just change this to the 64 so that I can explain few other parameters. Guys, one thing you also have to take care, like if you select this and change anything, sometime it will not update into our viewport. So in that case you have to select the domain and change anything, like any number of this domain, like you just change this and it will update it. Okay, so next thing is we will add fire. So I will select this emitter, and if I'll go to the flow type, this is fire and smoke. So I will select this. So you can see we have our fire and also the smoke, and this looks pretty good. The second thing which I want to add into our scene, because we will use an animated object, that's why I am thinking to add animation to our object like here. So let's change this to the like 50 frames for this quick example, and I'll press 1 for the front view. I'll just make the size little small more. I'll press I and add a location and rotation, or just move over here. Let's delete this and press Z and just move it over here. I, location and rotation. Let's go to the very end and press G and just move it over here and rotate it into the all direction, like press I, location and rotation. Make sure to press A to select this both keyframes. Select this, press A to select this both keyframe, press T and make it linear. And if I'll play, you can see now our fire and smoke is following the movement. This I will select the domain and just make it 100 for now. And we have this thing. You can see one more good stuff which I want to explain. Let's suppose I will select this, press tab to go inside the edit mode, and I will subdivide few times, and then I'll go to this modifier and add a displace modifier, and I'll just hide the fluid for now. And let's click on this new button, so it will add a new texture. On here I'll click and go and use the cloud and just increase the size. And also I will just simply press I to add a keyframe over here and go to the end, just increase the number, so it will just add animation, you can see. So now our cube turned into a abstract object, and I will select this domain and just make this number to like 98, and let's play. Let's hide this cube. You can see it has more information going on into the movement. And also I will select this domain. Right now I'm selecting this domain, and if I'll go to this properties, here is an option called initial velocity. If I'll check this on, here I can, let's suppose I add 5 into the initial X, the smoke will more move into the X direction. You can see this X direction. So this is what initial velocity does. So these are the parameters which will help a lot in further of this video. So we will discuss few things in the further of this tutorial, but for the basic it's good. One last thing which I want to explain now is the cache. Cache, it means just like here, see I am playing directly over here, but just I am doing just because it is not much resolution going on here, like 98. But let's suppose if you want a good, like here if I want to 128 or let's suppose 180, and if I will just make it play, you will see it will take a lot of time to show the preview. So that's why if I will go down and choose the cache, so here I will choose the directory where it will save all the cache, and here I'll choose the frame number. So let's suppose it will start from 1 and 50, and type I will choose all, and here I will see an option called bake all, and if I will click, it will take some time and it will calculate all the baking over here. So basically it will calculating all the smoke simulation from here to here, and once it will done, we can play it real time if it is not super heavy. And you can see once we increase the resolution, now it's taking a good shape of our actual emitter. Yeah, this is the main thing, and play. See, you can see the flames and everything is going too accurate and looks too detailed. And yeah, this looks a lot good, you can see. So now let's move to our actual tutorial, and I will explain you how we'll create this amazing simulation. So we are inside After Effects, and I open After Effects just to track our shot. So this is our footage. I will provide this footage to download. Please check my video description and you will have this footage. So I'll simply drag and drop this footage over here, and just drag and drop to this icon, and it will create a comp. If I'll go to the composition setting, here I'll just make it 0, so it will start from 0. So it's around 10 seconds with 30 fps, 1080 by 9020. This is all the details of this footage. Just quickly track this. So I will simply select and apply 3D camera tracker effect, and let's see what will happen. So you can see we have average error is 0.54, which is good. And if I scroll my clip, I have a very good track going on over here. And I am getting a lot of comment like why I'm using After Effects to track, why not I'm using Blender, because in Blender it's little time taken to do the task compared to After Effects. And if we have a tool, why not we should use this to save our time. And guys, maybe you will say, hey man, how much time it will take? Like if After Effects taking is 5 minutes, let's suppose Blender will take 10 minutes. But let's suppose if you will face any issues in tracking, let's suppose here I did not find any, but let's suppose if Blender failed to track or Blender is not tracking this floor, you have to do a lot of tweak to get the good result. That's why I'm using After Effects for now, but in future I will also make tutorials like where I will explain how to track inside Blender. So hit the like button, leave in a comment if you want to know how Blender tracking works, and if you want to make me a tutorial about this. So here you can see we have a good track, and because my assumption is like I am adding a character over here, will be a character, not this small, maybe what I am doing, man. So let's suppose here will be a character which will walk. You can see he will walk in front of this row, okay? And if I will select this, and there will be a lot of fire and smoke will, just go behind him. A man will walk and there will be fire and smoke simulation will happen. And if you'll ask me, hey man, where is his hand? So this is his hand, okay? So this is the basic concept for the tutorial. Don't judge me with this sketch. Simply I will select this 3D camera tracker. I will just move my cursor over here, or just I will go little like close over here, and here are good points. I will simply make it set ground plane and origin, or maybe I will simply select few points over here and make it set ground plane and origin, and I will select a few and make it solid and camera. And if I press W on my keyboard, I can simply rotate this, and I can press S to scale it and apply a effect called grid. And also I can press V and just change this position over here. So basically I'm checking if it's properly sticking on the ground, and you can see it's sticking on the ground, and we are ready to move to the next part. So what I will do more, I will simply create a few nulls. I will simply create a null over here, and maybe also a null over here. And if I will go in time, so I will create a null over here, and also a null over here, a null over here, and also one last null over here. So basically the reason why I created all this null, because when I will export everything inside Blender, I will have the information like where this bridge will, where this stair is, and where this floor is, and where this end boundary is. So that way I can work on that. So I will press Ctrl S and I will save this, and I will open Blender one more time, and I am using A to blend add-on. You can simply go and download it, and I was getting a lot of comment like people are not able to install this. So I am using, you can see I am using Blender 3.4 and it is working fine for me. So you can try Blender 2.8 because this add-on say like optimized for Blender 2.8, and this supports with 2.8 actually. After that I also shared few videos and few tips and tricks like where I am showing that how you can solve it, and on every single tutorial I shared like how you can solve the issues, which I will do once again. I will select the camera, press U, and I will simply copy the position and orientation. I will go to the Blender and create camera, and here I will change this to the 1080 by 9020 because so these are the information which our footage has. So I just change this. You can see go to the end, and this is 302 is our frame end. So I will add 302. I will go little close over here and just drag one frame. It will start from 1, not 0. And in last part I will do more. I will simply select, reveal this, and select the camera properties, background image, enable this, add image, movie clip, and here I will load my footage. So nothing happening because we have to go into the camera view, and now you can see we are able to see this. And if I'll go scroll down, make the opacity 1, you can see this alignment. So I have a few ways to fix it. Just like I'll select the camera, and first I will just double tap and copy this focal length, Ctrl C, and here I'll just Ctrl V to paste this, and still it will not look good. So the final trick is to just divide this by 1.7777 or 1.77778, and we are good to go. You can see it's properly sticking on the ground. The only thing is the orientation not look perfect, so I will correct in a moment once I will import everything. So I'll go After Effects, select this ground solid, and maybe I'll just move this over here, and let's suppose if it will come on the same place. So I will simply reveal the transform, and copy anchor point, position, scale, and orientation by pressing Ctrl C. Go to the Blender and create plane, and it will create the plane. You can see. And now I'll just quickly import all other nulls. Alright, so you see we imported all other empty also into our scene, and everything is on the place. So I'm super happy now. Ctrl S to save this project, and this is our actual tutorial. So now I can easily control S and close this, save and close this After Effects project, and now we are good to go. So I will simply create one more cube to do the orientation. So I'll create a cube and you can see the size. So we will also scale it so our scene size will look good. So I'll just double tap and rename this to the one control, so it will be on the top, so I can easily select by holding shift and everything in one time. I will zoom and in last I will select this cube and I'll press Ctrl P and choose object keep transform. So now everything is parented with this cube, and if I'll press S and I will scale it down, and if I'll create a new cube, you can see the size. So the actual size of this cube is 2 by 2 by 2 meter. So I feel still it's not good, so I will select the control and I will press S and scale it down until I am happy. So this looks pretty much okay for me. I will press R to rotate this, so I will press RZ and I will just simply make this grid little align, and I feel now it's good to I feel now it's looking good. So I'll select and delete this, and also I'll go to this overlay panel and disable relationship lines, so we are no longer able to see that lines. So it's time to import our 3D model. So in this case I'm going to use Mixamo models because they already have many characters, and also we have option to use animated version. So I'll simply go to the Chrome and I'll choose Mixamo, login. So I have an option like I can choose any character. So if I'll go to the character, suppose I want to choose a simple character like this one, or maybe this rider looks pretty good. Okay, so this looks good to me. Next is I'll go to the animation part and I will choose a walking animation. In this case you can choose any, like use a dancing one or anything else, but in this case I want to use just a walking, and I'll choose in place. So you can see I have an animation of walking, and that's it. Let's click on this download button and download this 93.8 MB, which I don't want. So I'll go to the character. Let's select this rider one, and you can see it's already animated. Boom, let's download it, and this is 50 MB. I'll simply go to the file, import, and I will use FBX. So I'll simply select the walking, import FBX, and it will appear on the this origin. You can see I'll select this cube and simply hide it so that it will not be in a render. So I'll go to the camera view, and if I play, you can see this is working, and oh my god, it's stopped, but we want them to keep walking. So here you can see all the keyboard keys I am pressing. So I will select and right click, select hierarchy and press M and move them into a new collection called a rider or maybe a fireman, and then I'll create a new empty, and this will be maybe like arrow or axis or anything which you want. So let's suppose I will use a arrow here, and I will simply select hierarchy, and in last I will select this empty and press Ctrl P and object keep transform. And also I will drag and drop this empty over here and rename this to the control. I can control this man with this empty, and I can also scale and do anything, so which is more convenient for me. So I have two options. First, maybe he will walk and go till here, maybe like here, and that's it. Or what I can do, I can just keep him stable first over here, and once this camera go like close and close, this will come this direction. So I think that way it will look more good, because in the beginning it will appear, I believe. So maybe I don't know what should I do. And guys, I can see, I think this size looks pretty believable, the human size, I think. So this is good, and I will select this. If I'll zoom and I will select this bone, here you can see the keyframes. Okay, so select the bone, go here and choose the pose mode, and after that press A to select all the keyframe and press shift D and just move over here. So if I'll play, you can see it's keep walking. So this is what I have to do. So I'll press shift R, shift R, shift R, so it will repeat my action and it will keep walking. You see, go to the object mode. Now I'll select the control and just move it over here, so it will start from here and it will go like, maybe I will simulate 200 frames, because rendering fire and VDB is too hard, I mean too time consuming. press I and add a location, go to the end and just move him. Like here press I and location, press A and press T and use linear. The movement will look not like it's moving on a normal speed. I think his speed looks normal to me, so I don't think we should do anything. Otherwise, if you feel or this speed is too high or too low, so you can just simply select the end one and you can just change this. So this is not too fast and not too slow, so maybe let's move to the 180 and let's over here and just move it around here. Press I and add a location. This is moving so fast, so I will just alright, so this looks good to me. Now I will select this plane, press S and I will scale into the X direction. Then I will press SY and scale them into a Y direction, GY to move this into the Y direction. Yeah, press SY and just scale it even more, SX and scale it even more. So this looks pretty good. I'll press, just move it just a bit down, so it will be, the main fit will be on top of the ground. Okay. Now Control S to save this project. So let's add the lighting. So I'll go to the rendered mode and here I will change this to the cycle because cycle is more realistic and it will give me a most realistic result. So just change this to the GPU and here I'll just make it 256. This is a rendering part, so I will skip. Just change this to the cycle and GPU. That's it. Go to the world and here on the color I will use environment texture. In this case I have this environment texture I captured for the same location. So I'll simply copy the location. I'll go to the open and I will just, this is pretty much it. I'll go here and I'll go down. This will look like this. So I will simply create a new window. I will change this to the shader editor and on here I will just change this object to the world. So now I can control the world. So this is our footage. I mean this is our environment map. I will press Ctrl T, which is no triangular. I will just rotate this to the around 90 degree, maybe like 85. And yeah, this is pretty much it for this location. If you want to add some brightness and all, you can just increase this and it will add that. So let's add 2 for now and go to the render settings and go down and enable transparent so that we can see our actual footage. Okay, and maybe I will just collapse this so that we have enough room to play. So for creating smoke or any kind of a simulation, in the basic chapter I already explained, you have to select this object. In this case I will select this and I'll go to the object and I can go to the quick effect and choose quick smoke. You can do it, but you can also go to the physics tab and choose fluid and choose this to the flow, and here I will choose this to the fire and smoke. So this is the setup for this emitter. So I will just remove this and I will also create a new cube and I will just scale it like this. And if I'll go to the physics tab and go to the fluid and choose this to the domain, so now you can see we have this domain. So these are the easy tasks which you can do. So I'm going to delete and I will just select this, our character, and go to the object, quick effect, quick smoke, and boom. So first thing you will notice our domain size is going through this plane or surface. So I'll press 1 for this front view and I'll press GZ and just move it almost on the on top of the plane, and this looks good. And if let's play, you can see when our object goes out of this domain, the smoke stop simulating. This is what I explained in the basic chapter also, that we need a boundary where we want to simulate the smoke or any kind of a fire. So in this case our object is going, like our character is going all the way till here, so we have to increase our boundary till here so that all the smoke and fire will be visible till here. So I'll press SX and I'll just move it down, or let's change this slider to the 3D cursor so everything will be work from here. So if I'll try to scale it down, you can see it is scaling from this point. So I will press SZ and it will scale it like here. I'll press SX and I will press SY and just move it pretty much till here. This is too much, so I will press SY, because if you make your domain size more bigger, it will take a lot of time to calculate. So this thing you have to keep in your mind. So I created a big boundary for our smoke simulation, and if I go to the first and if I'll play, you can see we have all the smoke going on. The first thing you will notice, we want fire, okay, because this is a fire tutorial. So I will select our source emitter, which is our character, and I'll change the flow type to fire and smoke. Go to the first frame and you will notice we have some fire going on. You will see the quality of our simulation is very bad because of this voxel size. If I'll select the domain and if I'll go down, here is an option called viewport display, and if I'll change this to the closet, you can see this is our actual size of the voxel, which represents here. So we have to keep these things down in the sense we have to increase the resolution over here, and the only way to increase this number is by increasing this resolution divisions. So I will just change this to 64 for now because we are going to tweak many things, and for the final simulation maybe I will increase like 128 or 256 for the final simulation. So you can see we have something going on. Even I will make it 80, which is not bad, not good. Okay, so this looks good. I will go down, and this is the viewport display. I will change this to the linear, and this is just for the visual purpose, not for the final render, so don't count this for the rendering. I will go here and I will notice few other issues which I want to change. First, definitely if you will increase the resolution, it will increase the quality. So it's another thing which we will increase in the last also, but for now I don't want to make the smoke rise. I want to make the smoke down. Also I want to control the how much time it will appear. So first, if I will go to the first frame and if I'll go down, and here is an option called dissolve, and if I'll increase and let's play, so you will notice our smoke is not appearing. Let's suppose this like this is our smoke or flame, anything else like, okay. So if I'll set the number 5, like 5 exists here, let's suppose 5 exists here, okay. So if you will set this number 5 here, so it will only visible this much of area, just like here you can see, but this is our smoke. And let's suppose if you use 10, so it will show us this area. If you use 12, maybe this will show this area. So these numbers can easily control by just changing here. So let's change this to the 12, and let's go to the first frame, and if I'll play, you can see we are able to see some of the smoke also, okay, but the amount of smoke is very less, so I want to increase the amount of smoke. So for increasing that, I will select the emitter and I will go to the settings of our emitter, and here is an option called density, and this density represent the smoke and this fuel represent this this fire. So if I will make the fuel 0, and if I will go here and just change the number, because if you want to see your actual preview which we just changed, you have to just add any tweak in the domain and it will update. So you can see now we lost our fuel or explosion or fire, anything which you can say. So I will select the emitter once again, and I will just go here and just reset to the default one. So default one is 1. So we came here just to increase the smoke amount, so I will just change this to the 2. So I probably hope in our scene we have much smoke. You can see the smoke amount has increased, and also it's look black, so it means it increased. So this looks enough for now. We can also increase it because we have the control. The next thing which I want to control is because our smoke is rising above, which I don't want. I want to make them fall on the ground, and here is an option called gas, and in the gas there is a buoyancy, density, heat. This both slider, and this both slider, like density works for the smoke and heat works for this fire stuff. So if I will make them 0, let's see what will happen. So you can see it's nothing, it's not going up and not going. The thing which I am thinking is to make it -1 probably. So smoke will fall down and fire will still moving in the same direction. So it's up to you how you want to achieve your look. So in this case, let's make it -0.5, also -1 over here. Both fire and you can see on the ground, fire and also the smoke are falling on the ground. The second thing I want to do is I want to interact this fire and smoke with the ground. So this way our visual effect will look more good. So I'll press 1 for the front view so that I can see. And then I will select our domain and just make it little down, okay, just like it touching on the ground. And here is an option called border collision. I will select the bottom area. So now if I make it play, it will interact with our ground. You can see the smoke is, here you can see is capturing more area when it's hit the ground, and this looks pretty good. In case if you want to lower the number of fuel, so I can make it maybe 0.8. I'm not sure it will look good or not, but let's see. So I will simply add more resolution. So yeah, this looks not bad. Okay, these are the few things which I explained, and these play a lot role to make things look more good. And here are few numbers in the fire. So if you select the domain and if you'll go to the fire section, here are few options. If you will move your mouse cursor here, it will also explain what actually this feature does. Like in the first one, it says speed of this burning reaction, higher value result in smaller flame. So let's suppose I want smaller flame, so I will add 1.5 and let's see what it does. So yeah, you can see we have many flames, I think so, or let's make it 0.5 and let's see. And you can see also this fire goes bigger and bigger, so it's up to you. Maybe I'll just make it 1 for now, because I don't want to create fire a lot, because I also want to make smoke appear. So 1.5 is not bad. The other thing is a noise also increase our resolution. So if I'll enable the noise and let's play, you can see something is happening, like we are getting some more details. And if you'll see on the edges of smoke and also on the fire, we have some more kind of a turbulence or the details going on. So what I will do, I will just down the strength like 0.2 and I will increase the upraise factor to 3. It will definitely take more time to calculate. Like here you can see it's taking longer time to calculate, but this looks a lot better. And guys, if you are worrying about the area, like the fire is going more far away, it's not closer to our actual subject which is emitting everything. So the easiest way to do this task is I will just make the upraise maybe 2, and the easiest thing is I will select this domain, and here I will increase the resolution to 100, and even I will keep increasing. Like if I'll make it 64, you can see it's increasing. Let's go close and let me show you. Let me make it 32. You can see it's increasing. If I will make it 128, it will go more close. And if I'll use 256, which I will use for actual bake, you can see it is more closer than our subject. And you can also keep increasing, but this is the higher number I can go and my system can go, so I will not increase much. I also want to add into our scene is if I'll select our emitter and if I'll go down, here is an option called initial velocity. If I'll increase it, and I will also add 1% in normal direction, so our simulation, our main character will affect the simulation more. And also I want to add 2 in y direction. Y direction is here, you can see on the screen, like this is our y direction. So if I just select this and if I just added 2, so let's go in the first frame and select this and let's add 102 display. So you will see, you can see more movement is going on in the y direction, and you can also see the smoke. Good. There are 2 things which you can increase more. This is time scale. If you will increase this, our simulation will be behave much faster. But I will keep this number to around 0.8. Actually I am making it little slow, or let's go with the 0.9. And guys, you can keep playing, okay? And the thing which I was talking about, like there are 2 things which I can improve more, like this time step maximum and minimum. And if you, this is the domain substep, okay? Actually this is the domain substep, and if you select our object, this is the sampling substep for our character. So the character is affecting this simulation, and if you increase this to like 2, it will add more resolution. Like if our character will go from like this location to this location, this substep will try to fill this frame and it will add resolution over here. So that way our thing will not look choppy and it will look more smooth. So yeah, you can also play with, this is the minimum number I input, but you can keep increasing if your system respond and if things are necessary for your scene. And in last, if I want, I can just keep this to the 4 12 and like 3 4 over here. Okay, so these are the setting which I think is pretty much it. Like I explained in the basic one, like how much frame you want to render. So let's suppose I want to 100 frames for now, and I will change this to the all so I can bake it. So now if I play, it will not be visible over here in the viewport. For seeing in the viewport, we have to select the replay option, and it will play. It will, you know, see, it will play. So yeah, this is the thing. I want to select this object. I will select the object, and here I will add 2 in the fuel, so we have a lot more geometry. A lot more. The flames will go more higher, and our scene will have more fire and all. I'll select this and I'll make it like 4 and 1. I think this was the default one. And see, not bad, looks good. If I'll go to the camera view, I can also see what's going on over here. So these are the pretty much the basic stuff which I explain, and these are also the advanced stuff which I explain. And the last thing which I forget to explain is adaptive domain. So let's suppose I created the domain till here, and I also explain like if your domain will be, it will take a lot of time in calculation. So let's suppose if I'll play here, you can see some smoke or fire will only visible over here, but it's calculating like Blender calculating the whole domain. To avoid this, what you can do, you can enable adaptive domain. And if I'll go to the first frame, you can see, and you can also see this starting frame are much faster now because of this adaptive domain. So it will mainly increase the domain accordingly our fire and smoke. So this looks pretty okay for me. The last thing which I want to do now is to bake it, but before baking I want to add some shading. Okay, and after that we will do for the final bake, and if we will face any issues, we will simply delete and do some tweak again. So I will simply drag and create and here I'll just go here and shader editor. So we have principal shader assigned over here because we automatically created this domain, but in case if it's not available here, you have to delete our principal BSTF and create a principal volume node over here and just plug this into the volume. So if I'll go to the rendered mode, so you can see what we have right now. If I'll increase the black body intensity, you can see we have some fire data here, but this not look good. I will increase the density, and these are the smoke data we have. Okay, so things are available, but it's not looking good. So what I will do, I will simply add a effect, not effect actually, it's a node like volume info node, and it has color, density, flame and temperature. So basically which data we have almost over here, we also have a separate selection for that data. So if I will select this flame, because in flame we have this data, so if I will select this flame and parent this with black body intensity, we have something like this, but this looks way off. So I will simply add a effect called math node, and math node is actually, I will change this to the multiply. So I will increase the number, so it will add more intensity here, and this looks little better. Actually our whole simulation is not good, so I will bake little later after correcting this shader. So this looks good, but I have more control. I can simply add a effect called node, why I am saying the effect, color ramp, and just plug in between this volume info and multiply. So if I will change this to the constant, and if I will just here you can see, if I just reverse this, I have a very interesting effect going on here, you can see, and I have a lot of control into this. You can see I can also play with this. I can change this to the B-spline, and I have also some control over here. So this looks pretty much good for me till here. What I can do more to enhance this effect even more, I can simply select this 3, shift D to duplicate this, and I will just plug this value into the emission slider. Okay, so I'll plug this into emission strength, and you will see this weird thing happening. Okay, so I'll just delete this color ramp and just plug this density into the volume 1. So now we have emission on the place of density. Density means our smoke. So we have our emission on the place of smoke. So I'll simply add a color ramp node over here and plug this and just change this to the constant. So you can see we have something over here like this. I will just change it to the B-spline and I will just tweak it a bit. So basically I am creating a selection in density where I can add something else. Okay, and on the color emission I will just change this to the around red. Okay, and here I will still keep playing, like I will just, or maybe I will just change this to the constant for now, like this. You can see. So we have this selection, and here we are also assigned separate like this. So if I will remove this emission, you can see this is by default, and after this emission we have some flames going on here. So it will add more detail and things. Maybe I'll just make it little darker, not much, like this. Okay, so this looks pretty good. The only thing is left over here is to, I will select this ground and I'll go to the object data properties, sorry, visibility, and here enable shadow catcher. So we have the shadow catcher plane over here. So the last thing which I want to, I'm noticing over here, like the flame is going up. So let's go to the first frame and let's see, because I will bake this simulation and it will also take a lot of time, so which I don't want to make it worthless. That's why if I will notice any changes, I will prefer to change over here. So in the flame, I think I'll go to the domain, and in the physics properties here I will go down, and this heat maybe I'll just minus 1.5 and same minus 1.5 over here. So we have much more intensity will pull this smoke and heat down. So there will very less chances to go up. So yeah, this looks pretty good till here. Let's play and see the whole things going on. Okay, so we set the 100 over here, that's why it's close over here. So let me make it rendered view to see. Yeah, so this looks not bad, this looks good, and we will organize the density even more. So for now this is pretty good. Let's bake 200 frames, and I will control S to save this, and I will check my system if it's alive. Yeah, it's alive. Now I will go here and just change this to maybe around 256, which will a lot. So let's bake it, but I don't want to bake 2 times. So let's go 256 for now, and hope everything will work fine. So I'm going to stop the recording over here because it will take power. So this is pretty good. I will just change this to the all, and I'll bake it, and after the bake I will see you. Okay, so our baking has been done, and if I'll play, you can see, and the playback speed, you can see FPS in 3 point, very less. And you can see if you feel the flames are too much, you can select your object and go here and down the fuel amount, and this will limit this. So it's really up to you how much and how you want. If I will scroll through the whole time, I will see these things. And the second thing which I notice over here, our domain size is till here. So if you want, you can just take a few time and just increase it a bit, so that when our camera goes near this, it will not show a clip, like a clip cutoff. So if I'll go to the rendered view here, oh my god, this looks really good. The one thing which I will suggest, if you don't want to visible this person, so I will simply hide this, go to the fireman here and just select and hide this, and also here I will just hide the emitter for now, the bone, and also I will just hide the extra, also hide the relationship line. So this looks pretty good, man. You can see this will start here, but I will bake the simulation from 1 second, but I will start my simulation around like 30, something like that. And maybe I will also add one more options, like here, like I will add a cube over here to add a collider, or let's go to the like 40 frames, and from here I will start the whole simulation, because now it will keep moving and our simulation is also stable, like it's following the motion. But in the beginning you will see it just start emitting, but on the 14 it's stable and it's following the movement. So maybe I will just start from 30 or 40 frames, and then if I'll play, you can see it's not operating real time, guys, because of it's super heavy. So just because we set up, if I'll select our domain, just because we set up our this material scene, this looks pretty good. The one thing I want to shrink it little more down because I don't want to flame come till here. So yeah, this looks pretty much good. I will go to the color here and just increase it to the white so that we have more white. The smoke, I will increase the density to 24 so we have much denser smoke going on here. So it's totally up to you how you want. And here you can see it's too bright. Like, so what you can do more, I can go to the environment tab here and just down the strength one, so we have some kind of a little dark smoke. I'll make it 1.5 and this looks pretty good for now. This is really good. Maybe I will tweak it one last final time, and in that scenario thing which I will tweak is to fuel and also this boundary, so that we have some yeah man, this looks really good. And let's go more over here to see one last thing which I want to share with you. After that I will tweak and bake and I will meet you inside After Effects. But before that, if I'll go here and I want to share some rendering tips. So if I'll go here and this is combined password, everything is visible. But if I will select and go here and change this to the like shadow catcher, the only part which is catching the shadow ambient occlusion, it will visible. And also if I'll change this to the like emission part, so we have some emission stuff going on. So for the final rendering, I will go to the passes, I will enable shadow catcher and I will also enable the emission. Like, where is the emission? Is over here, and this is pretty much it. And I'll go to the compositing, and here I'll use node and I'll add a file output node and plug this image here. I will select this, go to the node properties, and I will just find the location where I want to export and just accept it. Now I will select this and go here and just change this to the OpenEXR multi-layer, and also change this to the DWA lossy. It will combine all the data in less size. I will just rename this to the color. I will click on this add input, and here I'll add a emission. I will add one more time, and this will be our shadow. Plug this emission into the emission shadow catcher in the shadow catcher, and boom, everything is pretty perfect. You just have to go here, render and render animation, and it will start rendering. The last thing which I want to share with you, which will increase your render time, go to the render properties, and here go to the light path, and make sure to add 2 in a volume, so it will catch more light and it will more interact with the actual light. So I will just make it little down. Maybe I will just make it, I like the white one because it's blend with the actual footage. So yeah, this looks almost pretty good for me. And yeah, the last thing which I will suggest you to do, if you will go down, here is the option called volume. But before explaining this, I will go to the render and render image to this frame and see how much time it will take with like 256 samples. So you can see it's remaining around 6 minutes and something like that, I think. Let me increase let's wait for it a bit more to see the remaining time and all. It will take probably 6 to 7 minutes, okay, to render this stuff. So what I will do to make these things looks more good and more easy to render fast, I also shared a tip previously, but I will show you here also. Just go down into the render setting, just go down, make sure the samples is 256 because it's pretty good for me. And here is the option called volumes, just make it 5 and also change this max to 256, so it will make your rendering much faster. So if I'll render image the same frame with this setting, the quality will not decrease a lot, just a bit, but you will notice a much difference in the rendering. You will see it will take around 2 minutes, so it's around 3 times faster than the previous method. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and guys, I really like the simulation. Here you can see, but I'm going to just add a few tweaks, and after that we will render this. So for rendering, I will just go to the layout, and here go to the first frame, and I will press SX and increase into X direction, and maybe just a bit over here, so that it will probably cover this. Yeah, it will probably cover this whole simulation whole time, so we don't have to worry. The next thing which I want to do is I will just go down, select the domain, go to the physics properties, go down and just free all to remove everything. And the next thing which I want actually is to select our character and just make the fuel to around 1.5. So it's little less than before. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I will go select the domain once again and I can go here and just bake all, and it will start from frame 1 and just bake it everything. So yeah, I will see you after the rendering and after the baking, and after rendering I'll see you inside After Effects. Yeah, I did a couple of changes after I stopped the recording. So I will show you my domain setting and also the emitter setting on the screen, so you can see this right now. And after the rendering finish, I will save it, and I will open After Effects, and I'll go to the file and I will choose our project where we did tracking. Okay, so this is our project right now, you can see. So first I'll just double tap here and I will try to load that render over here. Just drag and drop here and make sure to just start this from frame 40. So here you can see the frame. I'll go all the way. Okay, so this is frame 40. So just put your render over here, and after that go to the effect and control and just search a effect called extractor R, and on the layer choose the color and you will see your animation. So let's play and see what's going on. You can see it's a little bit like, I think it's a little bit moving. So let's move one frame here and let's see. Yeah, now it's pretty much good. So always try to move one frame forward or backward to see if it will fix your issues. So yeah, this looks pretty good, but you can see the smoke is totally black, but in Blender we make it white. So just control space and search effect called exposure and change the gamma setting to around 2.5, and boom, this looks pretty good. The one thing which we are missing is our shadows. Rename this to the color first by pressing enter. Control D to duplicate, select the below layer and change this to the shadow. So now we have a shadow. If I'll hide the color, you can see we have a shadow. So I will rename this to the shadow. Okay, and I will also change the blending mode from normal to multiply. So we have you can see the shadow, and then we will add our color. So now we have both, see. And after that I'll just duplicate the color, and on here I will rename this to the emission. And just because we also exported a emission texture, so I will go to the layer and change this to the emission. So we have the emission, you can see we have the emission, and I will change the blending mode from you can choose the screen or maybe add. So let's choose add first, and after that I will select and I will add a glow. So we have an option for glow, so I can use the default glow which comes in from After Effects, you can see. But I have a plugin called deep glow. I will use that deep glow, and I'll just down the amount to 0.5 or maybe 0.1, and this is before and this is after, and maybe I can press T and down the amount a bit. And if you're not happy with the color, you can also add a hue and saturation and correct it, but this looks good. And let's take a small preview and see what's going on. Alright, so you can see the result looks fabulous, and this looks really good. I will also provide the footage so you can directly go and download and practice on this particular footage. You can see this looks really good, guys. And definitely you have a lot of control to play with the shadow. Let's suppose I want to make the shadow more dark, so I'll just make it like 2. And emission looks good, and I can create a new adjustment layer on top of everything, and I will add a lumetri color. And on the basics correction, I will do some few little correction, just like I will add some contrast into our scene, and I will increase the highlight a bit, increase the shadow a little bit, down the black. Go to the creative, and here I will add 45 in the vibrance and maybe 115 into the saturation. And you can definitely play with the curve slider like here. So I can go into hue and hue selection, and I will maybe try to change this a bit, and maybe I'll just try to make it little darker, so our focus will automatically shift over here. And I'll go to the color wheels also, and here I can also play with the shadow, like I can just down the shadow or increase the mid-tone maybe, or down the mid-tone, increase the shadow, play a right balance, and then go to the vignette and maybe just add a little bit of a vignette and increase the midpoint and roundness and feather. So here you can see this is before and this is after, before and after, before and after. And if you think it's too high, press T and just down this opacity to 80%. I'll control A and I'll just pre-comp this footage, and this will be edit, and let's play and check. So you can see this looks really good, and definitely you have all the channels, like you have emission, shadow and color, so you can play with that. So right now this looks pretty good for me. So this is it of the tutorial, and if you really enjoy it, don't forget to like our video and subscribe our channel, and in future I will upload more. So yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching. I'm MP3D and I will see you next time with an amazing tutorial.